hope I can use this. It looks complicated. There's a big green button, maybe that's it. So I have a question to you. How old is Clash of Clans? Does anybody know? Anybody? Come on, you know it. Somebody knows it. Shout it out. 3 years. 3 years, 3 months. If you look at the iOS top grossing list, that's the kind of pattern that keeps repeating. These are relatively old games, 2 years, 3 years, and their development started maybe 4 years, maybe even 5 years ago. That's a long time in a sort of fast-moving entertainment category. That's why we think at PlayRaven that there has to be room for more. This is a bigger medium than the television ever was. There are about 1.5 billion TV sets in the world, and this, install base is far beyond 2 billion at the moment. My name is Lasse Seppänen. I worked on games for the past 17 years, and I'm maybe best known for Sumea Interactive, which I was heading together with Ilkka Paananen 10 years ago. And after that, I went to Remedy Entertainment, shipping Alan Wake on Xbox 360 as executive producer and chief operating officer. And 2.5 years ago, we founded PlayRaven, a company completely focused only on making fresh, new, free-to-play games. And I want to run you through some of the portfolio we've made so far. Because for us, when we are taking a lot of creative risk, we have to create a portfolio. So Spymaster, we launched a year ago. And maybe you have seen it, and maybe you've heard about it. And this was kind of a very creatively ambitious project. We had a new startup going, and we wanted to do everything new. So we had random-generated operations in the game. It's like an endless single-player board game where there's just things keep coming at you. We had random-generated storylines happening within the little missions and so on. So we went sort of overboard with innovate everything. And also, some of the things we did were sort of counterintuitive, because everybody was thinking that you have to be like cartoony and colorful and everything to get a lot of downloads and to appeal to a lot of masses. People were saying, this is a really niche game that you're going for. And when we launched it, it was totally the opposite, because it went up the charts and became a top 10 strategy game in 99 countries. Top 3 in the US, top 3 in the UK. You can't really say that that's a niche anymore. Also, very sort of surprising was the appeal in Asia, for instance, so Hong Kong, India, and so on, top 10. But we've moved on from this game, which sort of validated our strategy, that this kind of thing, going away from what the others are doing and doing something completely different, it sort of proved our strategy that it works, and we raised more money a year ago, and we've been hard at work on a couple of new games here. Let's see. So Robocide is a game I really am excited about because it's right now in soft launch. If you have an account in, for instance, Finland, you can go and download it right now. And we would really appreciate if you can give us some feedback, because it's a soft launch after all. It's going to global launch in January. And this game features a very unique gameplay mechanic. So like I said, we want to make all of our games very fresh. They have to look fresh, feel fresh, but also play fresh. So this game has like a single-player mechanic where you have like a few hundred little robots that you're moving with your finger. And there's also like a bigger titans that you can then drop on the map, and they're sort of semi-autonomous. So we tried to make it a very streamlined experience where you can just use one finger. And here's a little video about the game.
Wage war with one finger. Assemble an army of awesome robots. Unleash devastating special attacks. Robocide.
So come on, can one finger experience get any more epic than that? Robocide. Anyway, moving on. So I spoke about the portfolio approach, so we can't just make one game. We're doing all kinds of things in our little laboratory. And this game is called Winter State. It's America after climate change. So America is covered in snow and ice. And people, of course, get into their cars, put on some weapons, and then start shooting at each other. And there's also a little bit of trading there, but mostly it's combat. This is a massively multiplayer game, so all the people are playing on the same map. We do some smart filtering, of course, based on the levels and so on. There's weather in the game and all kinds of things. And again, we took a game that is about vehicle combat, but we designed it custom for a phone, basically. You can play it also on a tablet, but this is most importantly for phone as well. So what we did was, for instance, take the drawing mechanic that is very, very natural on a touch screen and make sure we can do that on a phone screen, and you can move multiple vehicles during a real-time strategy match. Here's a little video. This is really not a fancy trailer or anything. It's just something we captured at the office for this presentation. So bear with us. But you can see on the right-hand side, I have a scout, an artillery, and a tank over there. And with the scout, I have like an airstrike ability, and you can see it in a moment. And there's these drawn lines that you're drawing in real time. There's the airstrike here. And then the other side of the game is the sort of maybe meta layer, if you will, is the map gameplay. So you're playing on the US East Coast map. There's weather, there's undiscovered areas, there's resource nodes like the cow and the spare parts, which you can collect in the game. And actually, you can convert those nodes, and they will produce some stuff for you. You can sell things in the game and sort of trade. And then there's weather as well, because obviously after climate change, you have to have massive storms that will cause all kinds of interesting gameplay effects. We will make it affect the combat, but also the trading aspect. So if Washington is covered in a storm, then they, of course, want some things much more direly than others at that time. Cool. And then moving on, because there's rather limited time. I think the fonts are a bit off here, but it should just say the new Spymaster. So while the first Spymaster was very important in sort of defining the company, that we only do new things and proving our strategy, we felt that we didn't maybe do the right kind of game for this market from this theme, that we could actually do something even more powerful, just keeping the idea of you being a Spymaster. And this new game is going to be completely different, not a board game, not a single-player game, and not a random generated game. This is going to be a massively multiplayer game of trust and betrayal. We've had a team on it for 2.5 weeks now. So it's early days, but we already started playing the first prototype last week. So the first core social gameplay where I can choose from a list of other agents, and I can choose whether I cooperate or betray them. And I can also inform the Gestapo about them, which is a quite fun button to press. Okay, this game is going to soft launch in Q1. A couple of key ingredients if you want to make your studio innovation focused. This is very important for us. You have to burn the boats. When you're a small company, you can't be doing everything. And for us, the boats we burned were, first of all, we don't copy or clone. We make only fresh games. So we just had to burn the boat. There's no way of going back and just making a clone of some successful game. We have to get by. We have to live in this new land or die. You know, that's the basic idea. The other boat we had to burn was premium, because a lot of us, with our backgrounds and experience, came from the premium, like AAA and whatnot. And if you start thinking that, okay, maybe this game would do better as a premium game, maybe that single game would do better, who knows? But the problem is then your company is not learning anything about making free-to-play. And you're actually giving them permission that all the games can maybe be free-to-play, premium. And then you're not really focusing. You have limited time, limited amount of people. You really have to focus. Burn the boats. Then another aspect that is, of course, very, very key for making any kind of innovation. If you imagine you would be setting up an R&D laboratory at Sony or wherever, where you're making some sort of electronics or whatever, the same kind of things apply. Here we want multiple teams so that we have multiple shots at the market. and we can do them in rapid succession, but also because they can learn from each other's mistakes. So when one team makes a mistake, the other two will learn from that, and we don't waste time by all of them going through the same mistakes all the time. We only have 23 people, very, very concise headcount, very important. It's better to innovate in a small group, because having 20 people innovate together, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. And we have experience from these bigger productions like Grand Theft Auto or Quantum Break. And those are amazing games, but they have their own special challenges in terms of how then you are able to innovate while you have this large staff to take care of. And if you're just completely focused on making a breakthrough, we feel that this is a good way of doing it. Just have a small headcount, but people who can wear multiple hats. Having a diverse background in terms of companies really, really helps, because then they come from different places where they made different mistakes, and we can hopefully avoid at least some of those mistakes they made at Big Point or Rovio or wherever. And I sure made a lot of mistakes at Remedy. I can be the first guy to admit that. But the most important thing is to learn from the mistakes as fast as you can. So time to a mistake is kind of a factor, should be a key performance indicator almost for your company if you want to be innovative. The final thing really, really sort of makes me happy about PlayRaven at the moment is that Finns are now a minority. So we only have 10 Finns and 13 foreigners. So far, the foreigners are treating the minority well, so you don't have to be worried about the fate of Finns, at least for the time being. Of course, having North Americans and Brits on the team is also helpful, because those are the two main reference markets where we aim our games. In terms of how they feel, maybe, but it doesn't mean they don't have appeal. Like Spymaster had tremendous appeal in Asia, Middle East, Africa, Europe, and so on. Okay. Here's another look at the team. So of course, everybody wants the team to be sort of a fun place to work at, right? But we also have to make our team, when we're innovating and we are doing a lot of like hard things, we don't know what is the right way to do it. We just have to try, and we're going to make mistakes. We have to build an environment where people feel comfortable about going to each other, even in the other team, and saying, I think your game has a problem. And this is a bit similar to what they do at Pixar, actually, if you've read the book Creativity, Inc. It's very, very important to get candid feedback and not have like this sort of politically correct, well, yeah, your game is kind of cool. Because in a startup, you have to break some eggs. You have to be able to say to the other person, I think your game has a problem, let's talk about it. Another thing we are obsessed about when we're trying to learn as quickly as possible is openness. So maybe some of you have met us at a trade show, and we are just pushing our game and look at my game and give me feedback right now. But I'm kind of in a hurry. No, look at my game and give me feedback. Well, maybe not so aggressive, but still you get the point. We feel that when we are as open as possible and show our stuff when it's work in progress, we get the maximum amount of feedback and we learn as fast as possible. A couple of examples. So last week we invited some people over from other companies. Basically, some people would say, these are our competitors, let's not show anything to them. We felt that these are our friends and we have nothing to lose. How likely is it they're going to copy our spy game or our robot game when we don't even know what the final game is going to look like? So we showed our work in progress, we shared some of the numbers and so on, and asked for feedback. Another example of openness sort of internally is, this is from our new office, and that's actually a meeting room where we didn't build a wall. So we have a meeting room with only 3 walls there because we believe that meetings should be open, and you should never close the door, even if you have a door or a wall, for that matter. And only if there's a really, really good reason to close the door, you might do it at the office. But then people who are passing by, they can hear what you're talking about. They can be, oh, you're talking about that? Can I just say a comment on that? And so on. And maybe the third example of openness is our beta program. This we established already like early this year. And basically anybody can sign up for a beta, and then they can get access to our games, work in progress, and all our games. At the right time, of course, when we need the feedback. And that's basically all I had. How am I doing?